I wouldn't know he was mine unless he came out of me. I don't think he was.
We're live, by the way.
Okay.
Hey there! What do you say there, world? Welcome to the Racers Recap. My beautiful wife and son are here. Live, by the way. Hey there! What do you say there, world? Welcome to the Racers Recap.
Justin likes himself so much he wanted to hear that twice.
Yes, so my beautiful Diana is finally joining us. Charlie is here hanging out for a little while. We'll see how long he lets us do this together. And Jen will be joining us. She's like in the middle of the Moab desert. She's living in like tent city. You got to see it. And she's going to use her phone as a Wi-Fi hub to set up her, well, whatever. She's going to try to make it. So she'll be here in minutes.
Love it.
This is Charles Bernard Sheeman. His initials are CBS.
Oh.
Not
please
on purpose.
Please,
no,
okay.
No, not on purpose.
100% on purpose.
It just is actually a coincidence. Justin's grandfather's Charles and his dad's Bernard, so.
Right. So I made sure that it was CBS. The CBS always have a special place in the heart. All right. James Earl, overall thoughts of the episode.
Can I tell you first how much I realized how much I've missed The Amazing Race? Like, as I'm watching it, like I get chills at the moment. It takes me to flashbacks because we haven't had it in like a year. So first off, I am so glad it's back on the air. Second off, I think it was a great opener for the season.
I agree.
Yeah?
Definitely got chills when Phil was, had everyone at the starting line, sizing everybody up.
Yeah, I like that. I like there was a double roadblock. There's a couple things that didn't make sense until after I had to get out and do some snooping to find out what the deal was, and then everything started to make a little bit more sense. Something that's never going to make sense, and there's nothing that anybody could say to me. We'll get to that later. We'll talk about that at the end of the episode. But overall, I think it was a fun introduction. I think the first 5 teams that finished were all Amazing Race teams minus Rachel. Well, she was half of an Amazing Race team, but everybody else, the 4 Amazing Race teams were 4 of the top 5 with.
Well, yeah, I think they'll be. Well, you could see that there was a learning curve for the first Survivor teams and Big Brother teams to kind of get the hang of reading the clues and.
Yeah, instead of running.
Can we do one overarching thing for the episode? There's a couple things I like that they did in the episode. I don't want this to become a Bash Survivor or Bash Big Brother like podcast or season, right. But the thing that I think is really cool is like one thing Rachel pointed out is talking about how on Big Brother they just eat all the time, and then at the race you never eat. And I love that they're showing the general audience that, because that's something that the audience at home never really gets to appreciate, is how little we actually eat on the race. Like, I can distinctly remember for our races between Paris and Netherlands, we had like a biscuit, a fruit, and a sandwich in the span of like 2 days.
Right.
I mean, so you're running around like crazy with maybe 1,000 calories.
And I think like the sleep thing too, like we don't have really, I mean, you do eventually get to sleep, but it's kind of like sleeping like Survivor does. You're uncomfortable. You're sleeping in awkward positions on airplanes, in airports, sometimes outside.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a picture of us, green team, and then the cheerleaders. We're like passed out in the airport.
Yeah.
And people are like posing with us. We had no idea.
In the middle of broad daylight, middle of the day, it doesn't matter what time of day it is. Once you can hit the stop button and sleep, you do on Amazing Race.
But I think that's something really cool that they're doing is like highlighting that aspect when they can, because it really gives the audience at home some perspective.
And I liked hearing all of their perspectives about the race compared to Survivor or compared to Big Brother. How I think Brett and Chris said Survivor, you get to think about stuff throughout the day. This is like go, decision.
Instant strategy making, like you got to make that call instantly when
even
you're
like
talking.
Big Brother kind of is a
on Big Brother and Survivor, you got plenty of time to just talk about it and produce strategy over time. Where here, instant decisions. All right. So let's kick it off. They're kicking off at Hermosa Beach, another close to LA spot, which is their MO, save some money. But there's obviously a million beautiful places there. The green screen intros were back.
I like that.
How do you feel about green screen intros?
I mean, I like it more from knowing what the other end is like, because filming the not green screen intros are awful.
All right, let's do this again. We're going to have a whole film crew to film 7-second intros.
That takes.
It wasn't
All
even
day
7
long.
seconds.
all
Like,
day long.
you can literally look at Mom and Mine's scene is maybe 2.5 seconds, and we filmed that for maybe 3 hours.
Yeah.
Gotta get the best take. And you think at 7 hours we get better takes than what they end up using. It's like, oh my God, 7 hours it took for that. We find out that Art has lost 40 pounds since the last time he was on The Amazing Race and hasn't talked about the way that his season 20 ended for 5 years. We find out that the sting is real.
I mean, the sting is there. Everyone that's ever been eliminated, the sting is there. You never forget those moments. You relive those moments.
All the time.
You don't have to rub it in, okay?
I'm talking about me too, bro.
No, man, I'm just playing with you.
Fifth placer over here. At least y'all made it to the mat.
That's true. Well, all right. We find out that Corinne and Eliza are going to be the villains of the season. They're going to take that TMZ role. They're going to be exactly what TMZ would have been if they stuck around for a couple more episodes.
Aren't they hashtag villains or hashtag something villains? Or did
I don't know
somebody
if we
make
have-
that up?
I don't know if there's hashtags this season.
Okay, I didn't see it in the beginning intros, but I saw somebody maybe just tweeted something. It was like hashtag villains or race villains.
She said, "Good luck, lips," talking about Eliza, and then meanwhile Alyssa, and meanwhile Alyssa finished in 4th, and they finished.
Those two have got to put their money where their mouth is.
Yeah,
They ran that mouth, and then ended up real bad.
yeah. That. Unfortunately, there was just a lot of people who did it worse. All right, so they're going west. West first is really, really hard because, one, it's your first leg of The Amazing Race, and it's going to be one of the hardest legs to communicate with anybody is when you go west. It's a long flight. I think that this is a tough way to start the race. Actually, I think it's the toughest way to start the race is when you go straight to this country like this.
Which I think is also part of the reason why you saw The Amazing Race teams pretty much dominating the upper half of it.
Yeah. The experience of knowing, like, okay, when you get to these countries, this is what you got to specifically ask for. People are smart enough now to look at Google Maps and zoom in on Google Earth, and you can see what the storefront looks like, so you know exactly what you're looking at rather than an address. It takes another level of strategy that you just don't think about when you're Rupert and Laura walking around like this.
And I don't know if Leo and Jamal said it, but they said that they wish they went to South America first because of the language barrier. And that really, I mean, when we went to China, that was the first time that we had a language barrier, really. So that's a tough hurdle to overcome in the very beginning.
Yeah. That with the shock of the race, I think gave The Amazing Racers a definite advantage, and you could tell by the way everybody played out that the advantage was real.
And here's how I expect the season to go. I think you're going to see, like, you see a little peak with Amazing Race. I think for the next few legs, you're going to see it kind of even out. And then around 6, I think you're going to see the Amazing Race kind of peak again. Because around 6 is when you've just lost all the reserve. Like, at that point on, you're running on fumes. And you just don't realize it. But, like, from leg 6 on, you're just on fumes.
Yeah, because in your head it's all downhill, and you push yourself further. You push yourself a little further because it's like, now everything's going downhill, and you push yourself to the limits. And everybody at some point reached their limit on the race. All right, Rupert and Laura, first to the clue. How do you feel about Rupert and Laura?
I thought we were going to have to eat our words with them when they showed up first to this, and then it just tanked.
That was the highlight of their episode. Rupert and Laura first place to the first clue, but what wind up right after that, they showed the Afghanimals with a little strategy for being a multiple times player. What do you think about the Afghanimals' strategy of acting like they were fighting for directions when they knew exactly what was going on and everybody was following them?
I mean, it works, and that's really what you need to do at times, is because what happens is if someone sees you with a new clue, then it's done, and everyone's going to get it. So sometimes you have to take a little bit of advantage, and I think that is part of the reason they got first this leg, is they got a little bit ahead.
Yeah, and people were in follow mode. I mean, I always told Diana, be a leader, not a follower. I'd rather you lead us in the wrong direction than follow a whole pack of people to the right place. I always want to be considered leaders and find better ways to get there. And That came down to be one of our commandments. Is definitely being a leader, not a follower. Diana's going to follow along in the chat rooms while she's feeding our beautiful son, by the way.
But yeah, no, that's a big mistake, because all it does, if you just like follow a dazzle of people to the wrong direction, then like you've wasted a lot of energy for nothing, and you have no one to blame but yourself.
Yeah, and when you're in follow mode, that just becomes a tendency throughout the race. Then you become to just be a follower, and that's your first instinct is to just start following. So the edge of everybody said the edge of. Rachel called it the edge OF. Dude, don't know if you noticed that.
Did not even notice that, but like
we're looking for the red, the edge OF.
But I'm pretty sure during my season I mispronounced a lot of things, a lot.
Yeah, yeah, not as bad as the Hagu, but
I got the hate. I did get that one, but it's hard. It's hard when you're in like all the different dialects from day to day, and you have no idea what these things are.
Yeah. All right, we go to the first clue. So what it looked like is people had to get a clue and then go to one of two different places to pick up another clue. They're not doing any task at these places. It was just two random places that had another clue.
Yet somehow we got a lot of separation from all the teams on that. Like, there's something I'm missing here. Like, it was just not either like a well-known place, like Google Maps couldn't find it. Like something was going on. Because like some people went there immediately, some people roamed for what felt like an hour.
Yeah, people were just getting nuts trying to find a place. And trust me, I get it. This is where we got lost. But I mean, our cab driver got us immediately lost. And then once we got back, we found it. But it's like here, I understand this is the hardest place. But wow, everybody really seemed lost. It seemed like a lot of time went by with this just finding one of these two little shops. And to be honest, I understand. I mean, there's so many places that are like, you feel like not real legal shops. So they're not going to be on Google Maps. They're not on like at the official address because it's their uncle's place and they turned it into a liquor store or something like that.
Oh Lord. It was a weird task, but it actually worked out well because there was a lot of separations from the teams during it. Jen's here. Hello.
Hi, sorry I'm late.
No problem.
I was building a beaver dam for Earth Day.
Oh, building a beaver dam for Earth Day?
Yeah.
You're a much better person than me.
Yeah. This guy's saving lives. You're saving beavers' lives in the environment. And I'm over here messing around with Bordeaux's butt paste.
I don't even know what you just said.
You're saving a baby's life. You're keeping a human alive.
Making sure my baby doesn't have a rash. How's everything? You good? You good?
Great.
All right, so we pretty much just got up to the first task right now. We're just getting to talk about the first task as people arriving. We're talking about how hard it was for people to navigate in this first leg of the race and how hard it is to go west first, as that being your first leg. And the fact that these people had to go to two different places, they didn't have to do anything and just went and got a clue.
Yeah, that's strange. I definitely agree. Like, I think Asia in general is probably the hardest place to travel because just the language barrier can be super brutal. And you haven't like warmed up racing yet, so it's like dealing with all that. But I personally love Tokyo, and a lot of people speak English in Tokyo.
Yeah. So it still seemed tough, and I definitely, for people who that's a tough leg to start, especially with gives definitely the Amazing Racers an edge because we understand what to expect by that time. So first task is people had to find the chocolate shoe. I don't know if it was just television, but it didn't look that difficult as every one of the chocolate shoes was shiny and smooth, and every one that was not was dull and wrinkly.
But that's also when we get to see like a real nice close-up on the camera. Like they looked pretty far away. And I want to point out a few of the times there's like 4 or 5 benches. Like there's some times where the person sat on like the far back bench.
Right.
And why? Like
bad choice.
My little ass would be on the front seat, like leaning forward, like trying, just like smell, like waft the chocolate.
Yeah. Agreed. It did really look obvious at home, but I think the distance was challenging. And you didn't see, like, when other people got it right, it's not like you were looking at them side by side to be able to know that, like, that they were lighter colored and shinier.
For the shiny ones. Well, Janelle kept her big brother luck streak going, where she sat down, got it on her first try, but her other big brother buddy, Victor, got it on his 43rd try.
That's just part of it. I was shocked.
But that's where, with a task like that, like, I would have been really, like, methodical in the approach if I didn't see any obvious differences, to, like, make sure. Because at some point, like, if you were methodical, you would have found one before number 43.
Yeah, I agree. I was like, I would say maybe max 200 shoes, max. So he went through like a quarter of them before finding the right one. With some strategy, if there was any strategy, you'd hit one by luck.
Also, you got to think too, in that situation, what you need to also do is, really, you're just waiting for the person to bring you a shoe and bite. I would be looking at what everyone else is picking when they're around me too. Because, like, if the shoe gets put back up, you know that's not a right shoe.
Yeah.
So, like, there's ways to kind of cheat the system there.
Well, that's what we're here at the Basis Recap. We give you the inside scoop that people who've never run the race wouldn't pick up on. Corinne and Eliza took them 34 tries. So 2 teams had a really, really tough time with this.
Well, Corinne and Eliza were also one of the last teams there, where they were team number 9 that were there. Mm-hmm. So at that point in time, there's 8 other shoes that are gone. So you're thinking 4 are left, because they said there was 12 choices. Right. So, like, that's one of the tasks. You don't want to be the last one too. So
you don't think they were replacing
chocolate with chocolate,
like the chocolate shoe, every time someone got it right? So it wasn't like there was always 12.
No, I think there was 12 to start with, and then once the shoe was gone, it was gone.
Oh, makes it a little more difficult. I don't know. I would have took the shoe. You give me chocolate, I'm taking it. I'm taking the shoe. I don't know why anybody's like, oh, I'm just biting a couple pieces. I'm like, I got the shoe. I'd eat half of it and run, tuck the other half for later.
It looked like the only person to enjoy it was Laura. No one else really looked like they were enjoying that chocolate. So I don't know if it was bad chocolate or what.
Even bad chocolate is good. I mean, come on. Let's be real. It's chocolate. All right, Art and JJ.
Sled one. They're not hungry yet.
Art and JJ lost right from the beginning.
Oh, that is one of the things that I think should scare any person that's returning to the race. Because let's be honest, if you're returning to the race, it means you did pretty well the first time around. Like,
yes, they did.
You did decent enough to come back. Now that's going to be their legacy, and that's terrifying.
Yeah. Diana's worst fear was if we ever got asked to come back, we lost in the first leg. Then then it's like, oh yeah, you were the fluke season. You had weak cast. Like, you know, they were the only other team to really win a leg against,
Dave
and Rachel, who set the record. But if that was the second best team of the season, just saying.
They were not. I mean, they were struggling even back on the beach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trying to find the clue in the sand. I mean, they just were not.
And the thing is, too, like, everyone's focusing on their final roadblock. I think they were just a mess from start to finish.
Yeah, they lost right from the beginning.
Yeah. I mean, they were really lucky that they weren't already in last when they got to the roadblock. Because Rupert and Laura got so lost.
Well, we're going to talk about them in a second. Oof.
Yeah, I think that was one of the things, yeah. Art and JJ get lost. And then we get to another roadblock. All right, so that double roadblock, so immediately get both partners in on the race. I love that on the first leg, to force both people to do something. This way, no matter what happens, it's starting off balanced and kind of teaching the other players who don't normally play, like, this is probably the way you want to do it, is to kind of keep it balanced.
That's fair. One thing, too, I want to point out, because last week I was, like, hesitant and saying, I don't know how Chrissy's going to handle a roadblock. I'm just going to point out she, like, chewed it up and spit it out. Like, she handled her roadblock like a champ.
Yeah.
So let's see if she can keep it up.
For sure. Pretty easy roadblock.
Yeah. I mean, I think these are both pretty easy roadblocks.
Yeah, I don't understand how people struggled with that one, especially because, like, when I think it was Leo that did the second roadblock first. Mm-hmm. And when he was doing it, it didn't look like he was using the handle. So I was like, oh, this is really tough. Like, how the heck are they going to get up this? And then when I saw the handle, I was like, well, that's a little easier then.
Yeah.
That's a lot easier. And I think that's the only excuse for not finishing this is to think that you had to do it standing up.
Right.
But I don't still. I mean, this is a task that literally took some teams less than a minute to do.
Like Becca, she just like straight up there like a little raccoon, grabbed this clue and was back down.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would say at least five teams did it on their first try.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. And then there was Brett forgetting to grab his clue.
Dude, you cannot make those mistakes.
It'll be interesting to see if that shows up later. Like if he you got to be like so sharp, but the clue is literally right next to you. That's not even like you don't need to be sharp for that.
I was saying it was within a hand's reach. Like he's doing this, looking around. Yeah, and it's just awful to be his like partner. Because did Brett do it? Brett did it, and then Chris was watching. So Chris was like,
Chris
"You can't say anything. You're just sitting there, and you just want to be like, grab the freaking clue. Just grab the clue." But you can't.
Mm-mm.
But Brett does do it his second time. He didn't give up. He kept fighting through. He made it, got it through his second time. Everybody that we thought would pretty much have an easy time with this did have an easy time with it. The Afghanimals did it really well. They started off rocky because they didn't think strategy, and then they figured it out.
Yeah.
Tyler and Corey seemed pretty easily. Even Rachel seemed to do it pretty easy. Corinne, Rupert did it first try.
Fine.
I am so curious what happened with, because Art did it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Art, you guys.
What happened?
I read some interviews with him. I spoke to JJ a little bit. JJ didn't watch the episode.
It's hard. It's hard to watch your elimination episode.
Yeah, I know everybody really wanted them on, and I was trying to delay as long as I could to find somebody else, but he didn't want to talk about it as much as, I could totally understand it.
Yeah, you build it up in your head. They did it on season 20. They've been waiting this long to come back, and that's how they go out. But I just don't understand what happened.
I don't either. On many levels, I don't understand what happened. Like the leg cramp aside, why consider a 4-hour penalty at that point when there's no teams there? So it didn't take anyone else 4 hours. And if you're going to take a 4-hour penalty, then rest for an hour.
Thank you. That was my thing that I didn't understand. Just take a breather. Just take a second, go off to the side, just get in your little Zen mode and try it again. Because you don't have to be a champ at it. You just have to get from one ped to the the next until you're at the top.
Right.
And they were within 6 feet of each other.
That pain.
I feel for him, but like I said, and I don't think that was the crutch of their episode. They had made so many mistakes up to that point, and that was kind of just like the nail in the coffin for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They did.
Go ahead.
Oh, there was a little Q&A thing posted with them, just talking about. It sounds like they just felt like they were just really off from day one. And in the start of the episode, they shared that they didn't even talk about their second place finish and what happened in their season until 5 years later. Yeah. And I think they were bringing in, just carrying so much pressure that this needed to be their redemption. And it was just too much. That's my take. Yeah.
The episode made it seem like the body gave out, but I don't know.
That's what happens on the race.
Right.
They should have known that.
That's what I mean.
It's hard for me to feel bad because this is not a new person to this game. You knew what you were getting into and you knew what was about to happen.
And you're in a job.
They had troubles with navigation. They had troubles with finding clues. They just had troubles from top to bottom.
And their job is part of their job is to drink water. You're on border patrol. If you're out there, you know how important drinking water is. You've run the race already. You know how important drinking water is. If you watched recent seasons, you saw Floyd pass out. You know how important drinking water is. There's no excuse. Oh, it's tough to watch. all those teams that had a chance to get on the race, I'll just, you know, and then just missed it getting on, and they're like, really? That's who you pick? You know what I mean?
In all fairness, though, that didn't happen to anyone. So, like, that's the risk you run.
Art said he couldn't walk for a couple days after.
Art did say in an article that he couldn't walk for a couple days afterwards.
But, like, did he, like, sprain something? Did he break a bone? Like, what happened?
Yeah.
That's what I want to know.
If you get that severe of like dehydration and a like really, really bad muscle cramp in your calf, it can definitely like you could be gimping around for a while. But that's pretty extreme. Like it doesn't seem like a normal state to get to just traveling, and I don't know. These weren't super physical tasks. I guess that was what I'm saying. Like,
Thank you. And I hate trying to be like that because I don't want to like rub salt in their wounds, but like, this was not a tough ledge.
Yeah, no.
No, but the Afghanimals pull it off. A lot of people's favorites to win it all. The Afghanimals get a 7-day cruise, Tahiti, Bora Bora, hitting 6 islands. Sounds like an amazing, amazing trip. I love that they're using cruises. I love cruises.
Yeah, that sounds like actually a good one. And 7 days, like,
is a long time.
It's long, yeah. It's pretty solid.
So we got the Afghanimals, Colin and Christy, Tyler and Corey, 3 teams that
I think those are the 3 teams to beat. I think those are the 3 teams that you want to U-turn.
3 teams to beat, followed by Rachel and Alyssa, and then Team Fun. So
I know they didn't have many moments in this episode. I forgot how much I loved Team Fun. Like their little rap. Oh my God, I watched it like 4 times.
Yeah.
You're just practicing for the next French rap.
Oh, God.
Seriously.
No, Team Fun. I'm glad they're doing well. And I mean, how fast did Becca get up that?
She's scurried.
That wall. Yeah. I don't even think she needed to use her hands. She just flew right up the wall. Team Fun, followed by Victor and Nicole, Brett and Chris, Janelle and Brittany, Corinne, Eliza, and then Rupert and Laura. This was the showdown. Rupert and Laura, Art and JJ. Laura said, "You think I see all those lights over there?" And then they go and they look into total darkness. And
I'm sorry.
Well,
yeah.
He just rolled over for the first time.
No, he didn't.
Yes, he did.
What?
No, Precious.
Did you hear that? My boy just rolled over for the first time ever.
No, he's gonna be running around before you know it.
And I missed it because of my love for The Amazing Race.
That's getting my Silk Clap award.
It just shows his shared enthusiasm.
He was trying to get back upstairs. He wanted to get back on camera. He was like, "Hey there, what do you say there?" Is going to be his first words. I told Diana.
Back to Rupert and Laura, who were a hot train mess this entire time.
Except they were the first to the clue box in Japan. How did that happen?
Yeah,
that was just pure luck. Like they just stumbled upon it and they're like, "Oh, here we go." Because after that, like they were just roaming. They were just meandering and roaming.
Yeah.
The thing that just gets me is how in the world, unless you just absolutely think you're in last place and there's no one in front of you, how are you going to sit in one spot for 2 hours before you realize, like, oh, this may not be right? Either one of 2 things. You're in the right place, but you're last place, so no one else is coming to see you, or you're in the wrong place.
Yeah. I cannot believe 2 hours elapsed.
They were looking for a clue box like it was a hidden immunity item, like underneath stuff in the darkness. Like,
oh my gosh!
I mean, nobody expected them to do well. Obviously, they could have been easily first out if by some craziness Art and JJ didn't take a 4-hour penalty. Just how do you take? I feel so bad. Like I want to be like mean and be like, you know, people took a slot of somebody who would never quit, and then first.
He looks like he was in pain though. Like I don't think it was a.
But
no.
I know how much it's going to hurt. You had a 2.25 average. You were raced against, which arguably the best team of Amazing Race. They won the most legs, and you were the second best on that season. So you felt like you had this edge, and then you come and you're the worst nightmare first out. So I don't need to pile on.
I know.
Damn.
I can't even imagine. I really can't. I feel bad for him, but like I have to at least treat it objectively.
All right, so let's get to one of my favorite parts of the the episode, which wasn't a part of the episode. Phil Keoghan getting his Travelocity commercial. What did you think about Phil Keoghan's Travelocity commercial?
I loved it.
I just love everything,
the ridiculousness of it. Yeah, it was great.
I was super excited. I'm like, how did it take 15 years to get Phil into a commercial? He should have a new commercial every year. It should be a thing we look forward to. And I can't believe he was in a spa and didn't say the word spa. Come on.
Oh, come on.
And the thing too, I want people at home to realize is like when Phil's on the episode, he doesn't really get a lot of time to banter. Like you see him at the mat bantering, but a lot of the stuff he says during the episode is like the scripted explaining what the tasks are. Phil is one of the funniest people I've ever met. Like he can like throw banter and shade off camera that you don't even understand.
Yeah. He's got skills. All right, so Rupert makes it up to first try. Art and JJ sit there, take the 4-hour penalty. Rupert goes right up, and Art is like, how did he do that? And JJ, you can see in the background, is fuming.
Yeah. Here's my question, and I don't know the answer to this. At that point, since they've already quit and taken a 4-hour penalty, can they just like jump back in and try again? Like when they see Rupert and Laura there? Because like if I'm Art in that situation, I'm just going to like completely destroy my body trying to climb up that little hill. Same. If I see that like I will destroy my body.
I don't know if after you say I'm taking the 4-hour penalty, if you can say, well, I'm not taking the 4-hour penalty. It doesn't seem like so. Once you say I'm taking it, I'm pretty sure you take it. But if anybody would know, the people who watch this show would know. So let me know in the comments below.
That I was thinking about on this challenge in particular, in this scenario, is like, couldn't JJ have like just like helped Art? Like the penalty for helping Art and like pointing out, I don't know, maybe
it's 30 minutes.
It's 30 minutes. So like just help a brother out. And then
I mean, if all else fails, like you have a wig on your head, just like mop the water up, dry it off, and like just scurry up something.
It's 30 minutes. Even if you give him a boost, isn't it just helping is 30 minutes? It didn't say just verbal help. Like take the 30-minute penalty rather than I like your strategy. Team Extreme with the strategy. You heard it here first. Hashtag Racing Recap. Take the half-hour penalty and help your partner, or take a 4-hour penalty. Now everybody knows the default move is to cheat and help your partner.
I mean, there's a consequence for the cheating. It's just not as bad as giving up.
Speaking of the consequences for cheating, remember when you cheated on our season?
You talking to me?
Yeah.
I wasn't on his season.
Yeah, so Nene. I'm going to be honest. So Mom and I deserved the penalty. Mom said something.
Right.
She said, check the big one. In all fairness, Mom had no idea where that mistake was. Mom was just doing her mom's sideline cheerleading. Mom had no idea. It wasn't like Mom was in there conniving, like, oh, I see James Earl's mistake. She was just doing mom cheering. Mm-hmm. It happened. We got the 30-minute penalty. We moved on.
I just wanted to point out that you cheated during our season. You got caught. That's all.
Oh, Justin, don't make me start throwing shade at you. There's so much more I can throw back at you. So much.
Oh, I love you, James Earl. All right, Phil's Travelocity commercial. Okay, so they showed a couple of things of coming up on this season. One thing that would have been very tough for the green team, a force vote U-turn, where every team has to pick somebody to U-turn before the leg begins. What do you think about this?
Knew it was coming. Knew it was coming.
I think it's great.
I love it.
Personally. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I love it too. Because, well, I'm really curious to see how it'll unfold. Like, how do you vote on a U-turn? Like, is it like everybody has to get there? Like, how does this?
I think it's the start of the leg.
Oh, it's the start of the leg?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you know before you even get into the leg that you're U-turned already?
Yeah.
Depending. I mean, if you vote and leave and then you give everybody else starts voting behind you, I mean, it depends where on the leaving order.
But I feel like you'd have to know because if you leave first,
you don't have to know. Why do you have to know?
No, but they can't do that. They absolutely can't do that. Everybody would have to vote because then the first person to leave wouldn't be able to get, if they made, like, how would they be U-turned?
Right.
They would find out they U-turned when they get there.
But then that's such an disadvantage for coming in first. I don't think that's happening. I think they're going to line up however many teams. They all vote. They all know. the strategy here is the top 2 teams. It has to be, right?
At this stage, yeah. I mean, what else you don't really have anything else to go off of.
So what are you going to pick? The teams that you think are the 2 best teams, which according to the pre-interview was the Afghanimals and Tyler and Corey were the 2 biggest threats going in.
According to their interviews.
Right.
Yeah.
But
I
Colin
think
and Christy
right.
finished in second. So is it going to be Tyler and Corey?
Or Colin and Christy? What do you
Or
guys
Colin
think?
and Christy? Colin and Christy.
I think it's going to be
Afghanimals,
Colin and
sure.
Christy. I think it's going to be Colin and Christy
Afghanimals.
and the Animals.
Well, why is it 2 teams? Why are we talking about 2
Double
teams?
U-turn.
Oh.
Oh, is it just one team? Oh, if it's one team,
No,
that's
it's a double
death
U-turn.
It's
sentence.
a double U-turn. So
It's a
2
double
teams are being voted. Okay. Yeah, I would say that. Leo and Jamal and Colin and Christy.
100%.
Okay, so let's go back to something during the episode that I didn't understand at first that I was able to figure out. Okay, so everybody run, the leg starts, you go and you dig up, and then everybody gets on the same flight, and what will happen? So there was something in the middle that happened. I was so upset. I'm like, that is the stupidest first test I've ever seen. Everybody gets on the first flight, everybody's sandy. That's all you learn. But they were competing for an extreme roadblock, which would allow you would cast it on a team, and both partners would have to do the roadblock. Kind of what got people eliminated on our season with Josh and Tanner. They did the double roadblock and got eliminated.
But was it random? Because I know the team that got that prize, but it wasn't the first team to find the clue.
Right. So when they would finish the octopus, they could go to the kites that you saw in the background and start pulling them down. So you had the advantage because you can keep pulling them down to try to find it. And then as you finish, people went and just kept pulling them down, and somebody found.
Gotcha.
So someone found it, but it
never got used, so they didn't show it.
Yeah.
And it can't be used later?
Well, no, they just don't use it.
The team that got it didn't use it before they got eliminated.
That's why they
got
edited it out.
Or whatever. But they just never got used, so they just edited it out. But what do you think about that twist?
Well, I think it would have been cool if they kept it in the show. And I think it would have made the octopus thing make more sense, that there was no advantage on a flight, but there was an advantage for getting your clue first and then spending time pulling the kite down. That makes more sense. Otherwise you're
it was just pointless.
Why did you just make them get sandy before a 12-hour flight? That's just
that's the worst. They went to that airport and had to take the whore bath in the bathroom where they're just washing everything off.
Yeah. You got the dryer and you're turning it on.
Exactly.
So that was that kind of I was tweeting live. I didn't understand what happened, but this is what some of the things that happen along the race. Things get edited out that wind up never getting used. So
I personally love that, and that's probably somewhat biased because Christy and I were a pretty balanced team, and I think something like that really starts to show where there are cracks in teams when both people have to do a roadblock. And I don't know, it'll be cool. Maybe we'll see it.
I'll bet you. I don't think that's going to be gone. I don't think the voting, the U-turns is going to be gone. I think you're going to see that incorporated in the future.
Yeah.
Cool. Also, looking up ahead, it looks like there may be a season 3 throwback. Did you guys notice that in the previews?
I didn't catch that.
Okay, so they were in these little round canoes.
Oh, yes.
Oh,
Corinne and what's her name?
Eliza.
Yeah, Eliza.
And that was when Flo quit and said, we can't do this. We can't get across. I can't paddle this thing.
Yeah.
And the guy wound up paddling across for her.
Yeah, I did notice that throwback because they capsized it in the commercial.
Yeah, they're tough to do. I like throwbacks, especially to an epic episode, which highlighted that teams needed to be more balanced because he did every roadblock.
Yeah.
Yeah, bless.
And every task he had to carry her through. Okay, now I also saw a quick highlight of the next episode I want to talk about. They had to learn an alphabet. Thai alphabet or something like that.
Wow.
And it seemed almost impossible. Tyler and Corey got stuck with one of the hardest dancing challenges, and now they got This is, I think, one of the harder lingual challenges. How would you guys have done on this type of challenge?
Well, we know how me and my mom would have done.
Well, I don't quite understand what the challenge is. I didn't see this preview.
It had something that they were reading and had to learn the alphabet.
And they
we don't know
both
what they
had
have
to do it?
Yeah, it's a detour, but you don't know what they have to do with it. They were just learning the alphabet, but we don't know what they have to do with it yet.
Yeah.
Mom and I would have bounced from that real quick.
Yeah. That would have been probably pretty hard.
We would have probably picked it because it was school related, and Diana wanted to do anything with school related because she thought there'd be kids there. But when we got there, she would have probably hated the fact that we chose that one. So any other things that you guys picked up from the episode before we get to the awards?
Jen, I just love how much sorry, Jen.
No, you're
how
good.
much the Big Brother and Survivor people talks about how difficult the race actually is. Because I feel like people at times think the race is like the low man on the totem pole for like difficulty, and it just makes me feel better and a little vindicated that it's not.
I think there's less suffering on the race, like compared to Survivor and like actually starving, but the actual like intensity of the race and like the challenge element, like I think is it's way harder. It's real time.
And one of the things that I always preached, but it's something that I think your team had one of the biggest advantages, is learning how to deal with adrenaline, because most people don't need to deal with these adrenaline rushes on a daily basis. And when you're on the race, it's adrenaline rushes every leg. It's not some legs, it's every leg. You go through this huge adrenaline rush, and then that letdown when your body just gives out on you and you're like, ugh.
Yeah. I don't think I had the adrenaline down until the end of the race. Like even in between, like after we were on the mat and we were in our pit stops, like my adrenaline was still like,
we're extreme.
It was elevated the entire time. Yeah. I don't think it was very healthy.
Well, that's what happens when you're extreme sporters, drinking all that Red Bull.
Yeah.
So, all right. How do we feel about some of our predictions?
James Earl, I think, was right on the female teams from what we saw yesterday. And I missed the beginning of this, so you might have touched on this, but Rachel and Alyssa, like, I actually am really enjoying watching Rachel this time around, and she has previously driven me nuts. And I just think it's such a refreshing dynamic to see her with her sister, and almost where she's in kind of like a leader role instead of like this dependent role. And the dependency thing was like what drove me nuts before. And so I'm excited to watch their journey continue.
And I was the first one to like say that Rachel drove me up the wall in 20 and 24. I love and appreciate the fact that she's making fun of herself this season. Yeah. Like when her and her sister were making fun of her like famous quotes.
Yeah.
I appreciate that so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't stand fake crying of any sort. And she did a lot of that fake crying / whining / oh my God. Yeah. And as long as we don't see any of that, I'll have a lot of respect for her. I mean, obviously she's a competitor. She'll compete at anything. She's been on 4 different reality gaming shows and she's won 2 of them.
And again, I still think she knows what she's doing just because she has run so many legs of the race.
Yeah. She has run a lot of legs of this race.
So feeling good. Jen, you almost picked Art and JJ in your top 3. Remember that?
Thankfully, I reconsidered. Oh, man. Poor guys.
So with the knowledge of this forced U-turn coming up, how do you guys feel about your picks of the Afghanimals? Do you think they stand a chance at overcoming a 4th U-turn?
I think because it's a double U-turn that they do, it'll be interesting to see how that all plays out. But yeah, I actually was really impressed, and I'm sure you guys talked about this too, but the fake fight thing, and like the early part of the race, like it is so easy to get into that like follower thing. Mm-hmm. And I know Christy and I in our second leg of the race fell into that and learned that lesson really quickly. Like, it's not helpful to follow. And so I thought they played into that dynamic really well. So I think that they're going to I think they look really strong and they're going to do well, even if they get U-turned.
Okay. Well, it's definitely being the first of a double U-turn definitely helps you. So, and I think that obviously because they finished first, they're going to be.
Yeah, there's still a lot of teams left.
Yeah,
so
there are.
All right, so James Earl, seal clap for this episode. Who's getting it?
Seal clap is actually going to Rupert and Laura just because of like he had a moment where he had to like step up, do some shit, get it done, and he did. And Laura was like so happy and so supportive of him, and I loved that moment. Like, there's not many moments from the episode I thought they were like really vibing on the same page, but like him going up that wall on the first time, loved it.
Jen, did you have an opportunity to make an extreme choice? No.
Well, I feel like you should go before I go.
Okay. Well, I mean, I would have definitely picked the Afghanimals. I think that's a veteran move to know that you're in the lead and everybody's following you, which is obviously they probably hate when people follow them using their skills against them to kind of get the advantage, which a lot of teams did during our season, which has to do with camera guys signing waivers, talking to people that already all the behind-the-scenes stuff. I love that fact. They got my super fan move. Turned out working out perfect for them. They got an advantage. They kept on the lead, and they wound up winning the leg. Super fan move goes to the Afghanimals.
So the extreme move we said could be positive or negative. So I think that we have to have the extreme move award go to Art and JJ for their extreme desperation in taking a 4-hour penalty. Yeah. And I say that with a broken heart.
I'm sorry for them, but I agree. Oof.
Yeah, this was a tough episode for them. It's a tough episode to get a member to come on and talk about because of probably the way it ended. They didn't want to come on. Rupert and Laura were both busy, and Brett and I mean, there's a lot more people busy doing other things, especially with the Survivors and Big Brothers. But we'll definitely get back to having some cast members on next week. Yeah, I think that's a great pick for the extreme. Diana, did you have your award for this episode?
You're putting somebody in check?
Yeah, who are you putting a check?
I'm putting JJ in check.
Okay.
I'm putting JJ in check because I think I think being a good partner is not letting your teammate quit.
No.
Yeah.
And I think I don't know if he was able to I don't know if he was able to massage him himself.
Right.
But I feel like that's what you need to do. You need to get down, you need to help your partner, and I don't know.
Get those thumbs working.
And I feel like he suggested it, and Art didn't hesitate. He was like, okay.
He's like, I don't think you're going to do this. I think you should take the penalty.
Sure,
yes. Give me the way out.
Even if you rested for 2 hours, 3 hours.
Right.
Yeah.
I just feel like, that's not really a very good teammate.
No.
But
100% deserved. It should be put in check. It's something that you should. If you're coming to the races recap, you're coming to learn because you're probably going on the amazing race and you want to learn. That's something you never do. You never suggest a 4-hour penalty. The biggest example is Brooke and Claire. She got her face destroyed by a watermelon. Her partner sat there like, you got to go back out there. And she's like, I got a concussion.
I got a watermelon to the face.
She got a watermelon to the face. Probably could have died if it was actually like a sour watermelon that was tougher. Her partner's like, you got to. It wasn't even a hesitation. Go back and do it.
And also, I promise you, no matter how bad you're feeling in the moment of doing something, sitting through a penalty is so much worse.
Oof. Yeah,
Justin knows this. I know this. Jen's too good. She's too good at the race, so she doesn't know this.
Yes. Right.
But sitting through a penalty is awful.
Or sitting waiting for your partner who coming with another partner.
That hurt.
I know that you guys talked about Art and JJ, but it looked like there was times when he was holding on to the thing and then letting go. I don't know, it was just very frustrating to watch. So I know that it's being a dead horse at this point.
Yeah. It's hard to kick them when they're down because they're going to feel it.
But that was my biggest fear. It's doing what they did. Being great and then coming back and going home in the very beginning.
Good.
So I'm glad it was them and not us.
We weren't a fluke. So that'll never happen.
Hey, and I don't think that this means that they were a fluke.
I don't think it is. Does too.
I don't either.
No. I meant for us. Granted, they won 3 legs, but we won 7. Even if we were bad, we should be medium, unless we were a fluke.
Because everyone can have that one bad lead. All it takes
Right.
is one bad lead and you're out.
Yeah, and ours almost was our first
Our
leg.
first leg was a bad leg. We fell behind by an hour, but it just so happened that puzzle had people for more than a couple hours.
This is crazy.
Meanwhile, James Earl's like over there doing it like a.
I did it in
minimum
3.5
amount of
minutes.
And
Three
Give
and
me
a
a
half
puzzle.
minutes.
Give me all the puzzles.
He did it in minutes while the team's taking hours.
I want to come play like board games with you, James Earl.
Yes! Oh my gosh, yes.
I'm in. Count me in.
Oh, Diana is a
Okay.
big board gamer. All right, Game of Thrones episode 2. Anybody? You guys watch Game of Thrones?
I haven't watched it yet. Don't talk about it.
Okay, we won't talk about it.
No, you can talk about it. It's fine.
No,
That's a different recap.
it's a different recap show. No, we love it. We can't wait. We appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you guys so much. All of our social media information is in the info below. So if you want to follow us on social, you can click on that. If you want to talk to us throughout the week, use the hashtag Racers Recap. We really appreciate each and every one of you and the time you spend with us. It's the most valuable thing you have. Oh my God, this is my son. How did that happen? Look how beautiful he is.
He's so beautiful.
I can't
He
believe
rolled
that.
over.
He's such a
Yeah,
great
that
boy.
may be suited you 3 years, Justin. I'll still
I
stand
know,
by
right?
that.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, who was Diana with? 'Cause she is just gorgeous. We'll see if he comes out. What kind of hairdo he has? We'll figure it out.
All right, real quick, one more thing, and then we can call it a night.
Yes.
Who's leaving next week?
Rupert and Laura.
Rupert and Laura.
Oh, yeah. I
Who's
do.
leaving next week?
Oh, Rupert and Laura.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to start the race a couple hours behind, even if there is a catch-up point.
They just seemed like they didn't know what to do.
Yeah, they were so.
They
Yeah,
weren't good at any part of
they were
the
very
race so far.
clueless.
Clueless.
Ba-da-choo.
All right, we appreciate each and every one of you. Jen, thank you so much in the middle of your jungle safari. Hooking
Yeah,
up
my
Wi-Fi. Your desert
Still looking
safari.
gorgeous, by the way, even out in the jungle.
Thank you.
The desert jungle.
Yeah, it's so hot in here.
Yeah, it's so hot in here.
Oh my God.
It's,
Justin, stop.
what?
Shameless.
All right, guys, we appreciate you. Thank you so much for hanging out with us.
Bye.
Bye. Oh, had